Hey guys, so the Switch 2 was just announced today, and now we're going to go through some of the stuff. Now this console was leaked immensely, and I don't think we went a single week without a leak. Everything down from the size of the console, the Joy-Cons, especially with the extra little button on the bottom of them, and the optical sensors inside of the Joy-Cons. Almost everything about this console was leaked from head to toe. Quite frankly, I'm not mad, I'm sure Nintendo is. Basically, since everything was revealed beforehand, we're just gonna skip right into my predictions to come out of this Direct coming up. So, one thing I really think is we're gonna see at least a minuscule amount of games that are gonna be for the Nintendo Switch, either on launch or close to it. One thing I believe we'll see is Metroid Prime 4. We haven't heard from it in a bit, and I think the Switch 2's release is a perfect timing for it. Obviously, we saw Mario Kart 9 in the trailer, and if we're going to see anything, we're definitely going to see the next Mario Kart information alongside this Switch announcement. Now, is it going to be that much? I don't believe so. I think we're primarily going to go mostly over the console with a little bit of games, but Mario Kart 9 is definitely going to be part of that because they did show it off. With Pokemon Day coming up next month, we do have a chance for a Direct before the Switch 2. So, I believe that we might see some Pokemon ZA there. However, I think we might see it running on the Switch 2 in the next Direct for the Switch 2. On top of that, I believe there's prime opportunity to show off some third parties, both up and coming and some older third party games to be shown off inside of this Switch 2 Direct. I know that there's a small chance for it to be revealed in this because I'm sure that Xbox would love to show it off in their own version of a Direct. However, the next game that is coming out from the Elder Scrolls isn't Elder Scrolls 6, but allegedly it's going to be Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Now, I can't wait for this remake if it's true, and there's a lot of signs pointing towards it. And you know what would be great? For Microsoft, who's been willingly open to spreading to other consoles, to be like, hey, here you go, Nintendo. Here's one on us. It would be a little bit of a sorry for leaking your console during the trials. Other things that we might see in this Direct coming up are some Nintendo Switch Online features, specifically the emulations of older consoles. For the NSO added virtual consoles, I believe the GameCube has a huge chance of showing up. One, it's been a minute since Nintendo's released anything for us on this console, or at least this service. Another thing that I think has a potential to show up is Wii, and we'll get to that in just a second. The last thing that I do think that we'll see is a release window to even release date. It is speculated that this console was either supposed to come out from anywhere from April to July, and quite frankly, from what it sounds like, June sounds like a prime opportunity. Remember, the Switch 1, which is what I'll call the older console right now, the Switch 1 was shown and then 2 months later released. So there is a huge opportunity for Nintendo to do it again and release it in June. Now, does that mean it could come earlier or later? 100%. Trust me, I'm not a magician. I can't just make it appear in front of me, though that would be cool. But we'll at least get a window to know when we will have our hands on at home with this console. Now don't forget as well, Nintendo also said that for the month of April, in 3 different locations, being New York, LA, and Dallas, that they're going to have a hands-on experience with the Switch 2. Now, I believe that after the Direct, people can get their hands on and actually review the console so people know exactly what we're going to be dealing with. And 2, so people can be prepared. That's why I think it might be sooner than later that we'll get this, because they're already wanting to show it off so people can have it ready in their minds. Let's go to my hopes for what comes from this console. Now, Nintendo is notorious for getting my hopes up. They're a heartbreaker, let's be honest. But one thing I do want to see come from this, as stated earlier, I believe that the Wii has a possibility of showing up. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but what did the Wii have besides motion controls? Point and click. If you go look at the trailer for the Switch 2, you'll notice that they do somewhat allude to the optical sensor on the Joy-Cons, meaning that there is a huge chance that we could see this used for Wii emulation so you can point and click. One thing that comes to mind when it comes to this point and clicking is Mario Galaxy, with how you could point at the screen, collect the star bits, and then also shoot them if you're a second player or even the first player. Now, I don't think that this is good grounds to think, hey, the optical sensors for Wii emulation, but don't forget that our current Joy-Cons can have kind of a Wii sensor emulation with the optical sensor on the back. I believe it's an infrared sensor if I'm not correct. But besides that, I mean, there's no real reason for Wii to be mentioned right now. There's still GameCube to worry about, besides also DS. DS still has a potential to show up too, don't forget that. Another thing I would love to see is, NSO get some more games, specifically Pokemon games. I know that's a long shot. Another thing that we could see from this Direct are potential remakes. I'm only putting this in my hopes section because I don't think we'll see too much remakes if we see any gameplay at all from this Direct. I think really we'll be seeing more of the console and what the console can do and interact with. So if the game that they're making right now has that ability with the console's current new features, then there's a huge chance that we will see that. But still, I would love to see, even though it's not a Pokemon Presents, which usually that's when we get information, I would love to see Pokemon Black and White talked about, but that's a small hope. I just figured I'd throw that in here. Another thing I would love to see, Zelda. The Wii U's remakes of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. I would love to see those ported over to the Switch, and we wanted them for a good minute now, but we just haven't seen them. So maybe, just maybe, we have a chance. I do hope to kind of see other versions of the console. And I don't really mean a Switch Lite or an OLED right at this moment. To be honest, leave that for the mid-gen. I'm fine with that. I meant the way that our current Switch was first released was in two different versions, a gray version and a colorful version. Let's be honest, it's Nintendo. We're gonna see more Joy-Cons no matter what. Another thing I would very much like to see is, besides just the Switch games being backwards compatible, I would also just very much love to see my current controllers be backwards compatible. I'm not saying that, oh, I can just hook them on and play. Obviously not. If you've looked, it's a magnetic attachment that these new Joy-Cons have. Just because that they're there doesn't mean I can't connect my current Joy-Cons when it first comes out and we have Mario Kart 9 with it, so I can play with my friends and not only have two players. Think about it. They're going to release this console, and Mario Kart, I have a good gut feeling, is going to be the first game you can get with it, probably even bundled with it, let's be honest. However, I don't see them not allowing your controllers, your older controllers, to connect to this. It just has a lot of sense. There's no sense in getting rid of the Pro controller for no reason. It doesn't make sense to get rid of your old Joy-Cons for no reason. It's just more of, hey, those Joy-Cons are what you give your little brother while you play with the big boy ones. Now, besides that, there's a lot that we could go over in this speculation. There's a lot I would love to see from this console still. However, I can hold off. April 2nd isn't that far away. Just under 2 months away, we're gonna get our first full look at this new console. I would love to see things like the actual specs, which is speculated to be just between a PS4 and a PS4 Pro. I would also love to see maybe a couple more games that will be out around the launch of this. Having games that are meant for this console at release is going to be very important. Sure, I can play Breath of the Wild and hopefully not have huge frame rate issues inside of the Great Deku Tree area, but still, I would love to see newer games added to this. Trust me, I know that I want my Pokemon to be updated because the frame rates that happen are notoriously bad. But let's be honest, this next update on the console is going to be about the console, less about the games. and I can't wait to see what they're going to show us. Remember, we got so little time until this actually releases. We're speculating towards June, and I can't wait. It's going to be a fun time, and keep a lookout on this channel for more information. We'll be talking about anything official coming out from Nintendo with my speculation on the side. If you like the video, give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.